Today I'm talking about another folding camera, and the camera I'm talking about is a Zeiss Nettar. Now, if you have a Zeiss, you might think, what is the precise model? And it's not always obvious what that model is. But if you look at the opening and at the back of the camera at the top here, it will often tell you the number. And I have a number here, and it's a 517/2. And the cameras often had similar numbers. You get a 516, a 518. And this, as I said, this is a 517/2. And we've got the nice Zeiss icon on the back, and it's a 6x9 folding camera. To release the camera, I press this button at the top, and there we have the fold out mechanism. And if I open the back of the camera, you can see what type of film it takes. Of course, it takes medium format film, but it's a 6x9. 6x9 means 6 centimeters by 9 centimeters, and that enables us only to get 8 shots on a film. But the format of that film is quite large. Well, it's what we call medium format. So you have to think very carefully about your composition, because we've only got 8 shots. It is a manual camera, so we focus here, we have an aperture, and we have shutter speeds. The shutter speeds are ranged between B and 1/200th of a second. Now, this 517 camera came with a choice of 2 lenses. You could either buy the expensive version, which was 4.5 Nova, or a slightly cheaper Nova, which was 6.3. Now, a 6.3 is a slightly slower lens, but it doesn't mean to say it's not a sharp lens. It's basically just a slightly cheaper lens. And this one here, as I said, the movement is good on the lens. To use, obviously, you set your shutter speed, your aperture according to a light meter or a Sunny 16 rule. You have to manually focus. It's interesting, this actual particular camera is in feet, so it was probably destinated for the British market. If it was a European market, it would be in meters. The bellows look to me like leather. What I'm always impressed about with the Zeiss cameras, the bellows are often, very rarely have I found of Zeiss with leaky bellows. The Zeiss bellows seem to survive incredibly well, and I took this camera out and I was pleased with the results. Let's have a look how I got on with this camera. Looking at the images, I took these in London a couple of years ago, and this was in September, and it was a pretty grey day, as you can see here. However, the sharpness is fine. A similar view, a little bit closer to Parliament, and yes, perhaps the edges were a little bit softer, but you can see that the images produced are absolutely fine, and because it's a medium format, we have a lack of grain, or less grain. I don't think the lens was great working into the light. However, I quite like, it has a slight flatness which I quite like. The lens appears to be very clear inside. I couldn't see any evidence of any fungus. Here we are in Trafalgar Square, obviously before lockdown, as you can see with the number of people here. But again, the camera is performing well. It would have been nice to have had it out on a really sunny day. Again, here is the National Gallery, and we've got nice detail here, and I quite like the tones. The camera is relatively light to use, and as I said, one of the only downsides is you only get 8 shots, and the final shot here I've got is of Surborn Castle in Dorset. The last shot for some reason was out of focus, but this one is okay. Again, it was a pretty dull day. The cameras, the 517, I think, is a very good little user, and they are a lot cheaper than the Super Iconters. So if you find one, and I wouldn't expect you to pay an awful lot, although there are some silly prices at the moment on eBay, but for about £20 to £40 you should be able to get a very decent camera. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.